This is the new iPhone 11. What's new, you ask? It has a better processor, an extra camera, and an extended battery life. It's more durable and resilient, and the cherry on top is its 100% recycled aluminum. While Apple was busy touting its new camera and all the new colors it comes in, which according to them is everything that's new and unique about the latest iPhone, the company spent just seconds on what was the most impressive change to its lineup. Its price. A price cut on the base model, which makes it $50 cheaper than last year's iPhone XR. Starting right from the first generation iPhone, which was released in June 29, 2007, right up till the iPhone 11 series, recently released, this is the first time Apple has released a new model with a price lower than its predecessor. Well, not the first time if you count the 5C, but it's not exactly an upgrade to its last generation. Story cut short, 5C was not a huge success. 6 years have passed since then. Apple's back with another iPhone, and even though it's a successor in every sense of the word, but Apple has paradoxically reduced the price this time. To put it in a nutshell, such price drops are rare, very rare, something that doesn't happen very often, especially with Apple. On surface, it's just a $50 cut. Not a big deal, right? But from the company's perspective, which on average sells about 50 million units in a single year, a $50 cut on the margin would result in a hefty sum of potential gains that it's sacrificing. So what happened? What led to this drastic change in Apple's pricing strategy? And why now? Let's start with the most obvious explanation. If we take out all the hype and glamorous advertising, the new iPhone 11 is just an incremental update on its predecessor, the iPhone XR. Of course, it has a better camera, faster processor, a little better battery maybe. The benchmarks are better, the numbers are bigger, but that's about it. There's nothing groundbreaking or revolutionary happening here. It's just better numbers after all. The harsh reality is we have hit a kind of tech stasis. The basic iPhone is there, it's just a matter of tweaking and tuning, better screens, more cameras, faster circuits, etc. Thus, people are buying less and sticking with their old iPhone. The propensity for upgrading to this latest tech is surprisingly dwindling, partially because the newer tech available is not groundbreakingly new, and partially because there's nothing wrong with the tech they're using for the last year or so. After all, it still gets the job done, right? Of course, Gen Z is obsessed with the latest features and gizmos, but that's not the entire picture, just part of it. On average, people in the United States now keep the same smartphone for an average of nearly 3 years. The baby boomers are delaying their smartphone upgrades by even a longer period of time. There's a general slowdown in the sales of smartphones everywhere, globally. Amidst this gradual slowdown of the global economy and dwindling smartphone sales, if you're not offering something truly innovative or revolutionary, luring in customers to ditch their smartphones they bought just a few months back can be a tough nut to crack. So Apple served the next best thing to innovation, a price slash. Ta-da! However, this is kind of a more ubiquitous problem for all the tech giants, so it kind of levels the playing ground. However, one area where only Apple is taking hits is the ongoing tariff war between the United States and China.
Tariffs are a key area of concern here. The Chinese thought that there was an agreement to lift
On Monday
tariffs.
night, China said it would increase tariffs on $60 billion worth of U.S. imports to between 10 and 20.
This is the first of many.
Today's tariff announcement is another protectionist move against China.
Look, China's going to have to make a deal that I like. If they don't, that's it, okay?
The US and China have been locked in a trade war marked by its tit-for-tat tariffs since 2018. And since Apple assembles the majority of its hardware in China, by the end of the year, 92% of Apple hardware is going to face import tariffs in the US, including the iPhones, which make up for almost 55% of its revenue. In August, Cook dined with Trump to discuss in further detail about the negative impacts that the tariffs will have on his company, specifically how its biggest competitor, the South Korean rival, Samsung, doesn't have to pay the tariffs. Even though Trump has promised to reconsider, Apple could not take the risk of raising its prices from the last generation, based on the world of Mr. Trump. So Apple took its precautionary measures. It revised its pricing strategy and cut down the price of the base model to accommodate for providing a margin cushion to help offset potential tariffs it may face. But why is Apple so hell-bent on manufacturing its products in China? Why not go the Trump way and put America first? Move its operations to the home country and avoid the tariffs altogether. Apple could certainly put America first and move its operations to America, but the cost of doing that could dwarf the impact of the tariffs in the first place. It's not just a case of building a factory, but training a brand new workforce of talented fingers that will require much higher wages and better conditions, something which is available at much lower cost in China, providing the hefty profit margin that Apple has enjoyed over these years. The manufacturing of Apple products directly and indirectly accounts for around 3 million jobs in China alone. And even though on surface it seems like Apple is the only one caught in the crossfire, the economies of both nations are facing major casualties due to the ongoing trade war. China was the third largest revenue-generating nation for Apple, after the Americas and Europe in the third quarter of 2019. The ongoing trade war has taken a toll on China's economy too, slowing growth there. The flagging Chinese economy dragged down Apple's sales in the country, forcing it to take a range of actions, such as effectively cutting iPhone prices in China much earlier than the latest release. Moves like Huawei ban in America just added gasoline to the burning fire. The ban has been reciprocated by the Chinese people by movements like Apple boycott, further dwindling sales for Apple. In such a grim situation, Apple did what it had to do. It just had to suck it up. It plans to tackle these adversaries by keeping this year's crop of iPhones set more or less at the same price as last year's, $699, $999, and $1,099. It almost seems like all the forces of the global economy have conspired together to make the newest iPhone a little lighter on your pocket. Well, all of this does paint a gloomy picture for Apple, but despite all the hurdles, Apple is still hugely a profitable enterprise. It's Apple we're talking about here. It has a few tricks up its sleeve to make sure the profits aren't compromised completely. Those price cuts I told you about earlier, it's not like Apple has to cover it out of its pockets. They are the courtesy of reduced manufacturing costs. A new report from JP Morgan reveals Apple has managed to cut the cost of building the iPhone 11 compared to the iPhone XS by up to 12%. JP Morgan pegs a lot of this on a reduction in memory prices. In addition to this, Apple has decided to drop the 3D Touch feature from its latest generation. 3D Touch was an industry benchmark, and moving to standard haptic touch feedback, like all its rivals, is a clear downgrade. However, the Taptic engine used for 3D Touch was pretty expensive and offered a marginal edge on the regular long press feature. Furthermore, the iPhone XR lacked 3D Touch, but it is still the best-selling iPhone. This gave Apple the courage to believe the feature is expendable. But there's more to it than just a reduction in manufacturing costs. Apart from cutting corners, what's keeping Apple afloat is its wearables and services division. The company has strategically invested in these two areas over the last several years, and now the two businesses collectively make for the size of a Fortune 50 company. Apple's services business generated an all-time high revenue of $11.5 billion in the third quarter of 2019. The combined sales of the company's wearables and services business as a proportion of total revenue was 31.6%, with services business alone accounting for 21.3% share in the third quarter of 2019. Thus, the launch of Apple TV and Apple Arcade this year is the company's deliberate and well-thought-out attempt to expand its services division, to lure more customers into the Apple ecosystem, all in an attempt to reduce its revenue reliability and the ever-growing pressure on the golden goose, the iPhone. And with the enticing price tag of the new entry-level iPhone, it'll only bring greater numbers into the Apple ecosystem, further propelling the services revenue for Apple. So with this unprecedented price cut, Apple is trying to get back in the race. However, there's a catch. Apple is not running the same race as its contemporaries. Apple is looking at the bigger picture. The most common phrase you hear from a critic or tech enthusiast after an Apple event is, "These features are nothing new. We've had them all in Androids for years." Well, to an extent, they are right, because Apple is not trying to outrun anyone in its features race. Gone is the Steve Jobs era when Apple was known for its revolutionary innovations that changed the way we perceive technology. Now it's all about perfecting what's already there, delivering stable hardware with a side of Apple ecosystem, wrapped in the premium brand image of Apple. While every other tech giant is running in a 100-meter race. The race for the latest features, the greatest specs, the curviest screen, the craziest camera, and whatnot. Apple's running the marathon, and it's already got a head start from most of its rivals. None of them even have a services division as Apple's. What it's striving for is a sustained and steady income, with the help of the services department. Hence the drastic price drop in its older iPhones and the introduction of a brand new entry-level affordable iPad. Hence the continuation of a 3 generations older iPhone with a heavily discounted price tag. With its new aggressive pricing and marketing strategy, Apple is trying to get the hardware in the hands of the masses. The greater the users of Apple's hardware, the greater the subscribers of Apple TV, Apple Music, Apple Arcade, and iCloud, and possibly Apple VR in future. While every other tech manufacturer is engrossed in winning the spec sprint, Apple is aiming at the prize of the marathon.